What's going on, guys? Look, it's Marcel Benson, investor, entrepreneur, and creative. Look, so I was doing some research this weekend, and I wanted to make a quick video just to kind of make sure that I'm putting this like on your mind to consider, right? So every day in the group, we get a bunch of different questions, right? Because one of the things that we pride ourselves on in the Prosperity Collective is making sure that we get your questions answered, right? Making sure that you're not just just kind of getting lost in the sea of comments or, getting lost in this whole trading thing, but understanding like where your mistakes might be. So, we really make sure that we take time to get questions answered. So I've been getting a lot of just questions about like, timing, right? Like when should I get in? When should I take this trade? Like, what do you foresee? Like when is this stock going to drop, right? And we saw a lot of stocks drop about a week or two ago, specifically SPY and Meta. We saw significant drops, but then we saw them go back up to the upside. So I've been talking about this bear market and opportunity to make money to the downside for quite some time. And though it is hard to always predict exactly when something is going to happen, there are a few things that show that it is like on its way, right? So we'll get into that in just a second. But before I go any further, we are almost at 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate, all of you guys who've subscribed. If you're new and seeing this for the first time and you want to, get information and knowledge on how to trade and how to replace your income, this is a really good place to be. Just go watch the videos and see if you come across something that has changed your perspective or gives you just like a little, bit of a different way of looking at it from what you've been, seeing across the industry already, right? And if it's worth it, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. All right. So I'll get into it. This video is about the bear market that is looming, right? There is a bear market that is on the horizon, and there's so many different ways to participate in this, right? So right now, I cannot stress this enough, okay? It is so important that when things are going good, you're preparing for them to go bad, right? When things are going bad, you are fighting and preparing for the good times, right? Like not losing your confidence, not losing your belief, and knowing that the tide will turn. The tide will always turn no matter what side you're on. Things will not be great forever. Things will not be bad forever, which is a really good thing. And it brings this interesting dynamic to life, right? So with the stock market, we're seeing that, there's a little bit of confidence in it right now. Like people are like, okay, we could see this thing going up, right? And then there'll be a point where everybody is like, man, this thing is going to go up forever. That's when you're going to see like extreme greed on the on the index, right? You're going to see extreme greed on the fear greed index, and that is going to be a time where we're going to get an even bigger push to the upside. And this is when you want to start to really get concerned, right? And when I say concerned, not worried in the sense of like, oh my God, sell everything, but it's just like, okay, something is getting ready to take place. I don't know exactly when, but something is getting ready to take place. I want to get you guys prepared for that, okay? I want you to understand that it is now when you prepare for that. So I've been telling everybody in the group, hold on real quick, I got a call. I've been telling everybody in the group, right? I should have put that on Do Not Disturb, but I've been telling everybody in the group to start looking at profits as a way to build wealth, right? So think about profits and earning, money on a consistent basis, trading as, a job. It ain't a full-time job because it doesn't take 8 hours to make the money that you're going to make in your options trading. It may only take 10 minutes. It may take waiting for 2 hours and then 10 minutes. It may take waiting for 30 minutes. But it's only usually going to be a couple of hours or less for you to actually earn that money that it would have taken you a whole day to earn at your job, right? So we're looking at options as an income replacement, right? And that income replacement or income addition to what you're already making in your job or elsewhere needs to be going and being parked into wealth vehicles, right? Now, what I want you to understand is that the biggest wealth opportunity is in a bear market. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of research. I'm going to share some statistics that I've come across that I think is really going to make it crystal clear what you need to be doing right now and going forward. Okay. Now we know that the definition of a bear market is when there is a 20% decline from the recent highs, right? So when we get a 20% decline of the recent highs or more on the market, on SPY, right? Then we know that we are in a bear market. Now, I've done some research on the past 4 bear markets, which I'm going to break down and show you what took place so that you can understand what will potentially take place the next time that there's a bear market. And I really don't even want to say potentially. I want to say guaranteed, but I just know that that's a word that people don't really agree with, right? But fuck it. It's pretty much guaranteed that a bear market will lead to your wealth. And I'm going to break down and support it. Y'all know I'm not just going to say anything without any sort of support or make a claim that hasn't been supported, that I haven't myself experienced or that statistics and data do not support. Okay. So the last 4 bear markets, let's start with the one furthest back. 2000. Okay, it was the dot-com bubble. Everybody's pounding money into these dot-com companies, and boom, the bubble bursts, and then all of a sudden we find ourselves that in a bear market. And in that bear market, things declined pretty bad. Okay, then there was another one in 2008 with the housing market crash. 2007, 2008. With the housing market crashing, right? That was a terrible time for people that were coming out of school looking for jobs because there weren't many, and it was bad. Unemployment was extremely high, and the market was in shambles, right? Then there was 2022, right? 2020. We had the pandemic. That you can't forget the pandemic. Right, 2020, we saw a sharp decline, and then again in 2022, because of rate hikes and inflation, we saw it come down even more. So I'm gonna get you some exact statistics on this, right? So let's say we were watching just one stock. We're just gonna say Apple, right? So I'm watching Apple, right? I'm looking at what Apple is doing during each of these because that's a company that has actually lived through all of these bear markets. So when I look at Apple in 2000, the dot-com bubble, Apple declined 83%, right? The 2008 bear market, because of the housing crash, Apple declined 61.8%. 2020, the pandemic, Apple declined 35%. 2022, inflation, Apple declined 27%. Now, each of these presented a great opportunity for wealth. And literally the result of people buying these declines or buying these bottoms or near these bottoms literally led to a serious wealth opportunity every time, which is why I say, forget saying potential, it is guaranteed because the stock market is designed to go up. So what you want to do in a bear market is have so much money put away that you do not need, that it can take the time that it needs to grow when it is at a steep discount. So we know that a company like Apple is good. Look, it stood the test of time. It's 2025 and Apple is still in the top 7 stocks. And we're talking about they were up there in 2000. They declined 80 something percent in the 2000 dot-com bubble burst, right? So they've been around. They're going to continue to be around. So what you want to do is you want to find a company that will be around, a company that's proven that it can stand the test of time and recover. So let me just give you an example of what happened in 2000. So Apple declined 83% in 2000, And then in just 1 year, it grew 52%. So by the time that Apple made it to the bottom of the bear market, if you would have purchased Leaps out for 2 years and that stock grew 52%, you're talking about more than quadrupling your money, right? More than quadrupling your money. Okay, one is not enough for you. Let's give another example. In 2008, Apple declined 61.8% at the bottom of its bear market. And then just a year from that, it grew 64%. If you would have purchased when it was down in the bear market, you would have made more than 5 times the amount of money that you put in if you would have gotten a Leap, right? I made a video about Leap. You can go back and watch that. The Leap is just a long-term options contract. It's an options contract that has a year or more time on it, somewhere between a year and 3 years. So it looks like there's a consistency in how to get wealthy in the market. We can do another one, right? In 2020, during the pandemic, Apple declined 35%. And then a year from that bottom grew 64%. So it went 30% higher than where it fell from, right? Another opportunity to more than 5-6x your money by buying Leaps. This is something that is very predictable, and it's a process that we have to all go through to skyrocket our accounts, right? So when we think about options, a lot of times people get extremely impatient because they're like, oh, I'm making money, I'm losing money. That is going to happen as you're learning and getting the profitability, right? So your first objective is to get to consistent profitability. Once you get to consistent profitability, you need to be putting those profits to the side so that you have money that you do not need, that you can place in the market when it declines to a level that is way below where it should be, where we got like discount level, clearance level discount prices on the market. We go in there with the money that we've been stashing when things were good. Instead of going out and spending the money, because it's like, damn, I never made $200 as fast, or I never made $2,000 or $10,000 as fast. Instead of going and spending it, you are really giving yourself a great opportunity to really build some real wealth by just holding out, right? Don't let the lifestyle creep get you, right? Don't spend something before you have it. Don't spend it because you have it. But always be thinking about that flip. Always be thinking about that next move, that next opportunity that may only come every so often, every few years. There's really a window of opportunity, literally, right? Every few years you'll have the opportunity because of something that's happening in the greater economy. Something, drastic may happen every, 10, 15 years, but there will be some sort of ebb and flow in the economy that will give you at least a 35% decline. In a chance to grow your money, but there may be a 80, 100% decline that gives you an even bigger chance to grow your money. It just depends, because there could also be some things happening with that individual stock. So I chose Apple, and I just gave you the rundown on what Apple did in the past few bear markets. So it's like, okay, chances are it will go down with this next bear market, but will you be prepared? Will you have the money? Are you really ready for wealth? That's the question. You gotta be ready for wealth. You gotta be ready for wealth, meaning that if you have to wait a year or two for it to realize its potential from you getting it at such a steep discount, you could do it. And you don't have to dip into, I need this to go pay this bill, or I need this to go. No. We need to be thinking about this inevitable opportunity that is coming right now. Okay? Lock in. Get to profitability. If you're not in our group, I don't know what you're waiting for. Get in there so that we can aid you in getting to profitability. Then, when you have that consistent profitability, you start to put money to the side for when things go terrible in the economy. Everybody else will be running, but we need those people. We just don't want you to be one of those people. We need the people running. We need the people selling, because what you're going to do is double dip. You're going to, because you know how to trade, make money on the way down, And then you're also going to be putting the money that you've saved and the money that you're making on the way down into the long term back up to the top and beyond. And that is how you create wealth, my friends. That is how you get rich, period. It is getting assets like stocks or whatever, right? We're talking about stocks in this particular scenario at the best possible price. So there is nothing to fear about a bear market. You can ride it down and make money, and you can ride it up and make the most money that you've ever made in your life. Okay? So let's start preparing now. It is on its way. It's nothing to be afraid of, but it is something to be aware of. All right? It's always love over here, man. Look, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Share this with somebody that needs to hear it. If you know somebody that's actively trying to build their wealth, share this with them. Okay? I'll top in with y'all later. Peace.